I don't remember it vividly the first time I met John. I don't have an accurate picture in my head. I don't know why, except that I was so new to show business and so thrilled at getting any little part that came along that when I got that first part with him, which was a small part in a George Gobel movie, I guess I was more thrilled about getting a job than who it was with. And Duke was not that major a star. He was a major star, but he was not God yet. He wasn't yet that all hero to us.
Could you describe that part in I Married a Woman? Describe that scene that you did with Duke.
Yes, it was a movie within a movie. So George Gobel was going to see this movie, and it was the...
Hang on. Murphy's Law.
It's Murphy's Law, all right.
Give yourself another little check just to make sure before we do it again. Because they like to just roll right through it.
Sorry.
Stand by. Quiet, please. Okay, Joanne.
Let's take that story over again. Describe for me the scene that you did with Duke in I Married a Woman.
George Gobel went to a movie, and the movie he saw was a scene with John Wayne and myself. We were a married couple celebrating our anniversary. It seems to me it was the 5th anniversary, but my memory is not that clear. And George Gobel is, I think, having troubles at home, so he's trying to learn how to have a perfect marriage. And he sees Leonard, John Wayne, and I think my name was Beatrice. We were just the most conservative group. Duke was in a tuxedo, and I was in a gown, and we were on a terrace, and he was giving me a gift. And it was, oh, Leonard, you shouldn't have. And he was saying, my darling, you deserve the best. And it was so corny, but sweet, really sweet. And I don't remember what George Gobel did.
How do you think that John Wayne felt about playing those cameo roles? I mean, did he have fun with it?
Yeah, I think Duke didn't do many comedies, and that gave him a chance to exaggerate and be not farcical, but to be extreme and get out of that hero image and show how, I think it was closer to his real self, because he was a very sweet man.
Was he a romantic man? You said this scene was very romantic.
Uh-huh. I don't think you would call Duke romantic. I think he would have been shy being romantic. He was, I think if he brought you flowers, he would say, well, here, I hope you like them. That, I think, would be his way, rather than, darling, I've brought you some flowers, and I hope you... It just was his nature to be very gruff in his sweetness. I think he wasn't a shy man, but I think he was embarrassed at times. I think if I were John Wayne, I'd be embarrassed too. You know, are you always under a microscope? Are you always doing what John Wayne would do?
Do you think he felt that way, that he was always being judged as the great American hero?
No, I don't think so, but I doubt it. I think, no, he was much too earthy and much too realistic. I just think that he's like many big stars that, other than the very personal level, you know, somebody you live with, where you can be your true self, I think then when he was doing sweet things or tender things, he was a little self-conscious about it, because his public self was so tough, and he was tough. but in the tender moments, he was on the shy side.
You know, you say that he was tough. On the set, how was he when you were making the movies? Describe the John Wayne between takes.
Well, not tough as far as difficult. And now difficult is one word and tough is another. So I like to make sure people don't think. Tough meaning, what do I mean? Strong and knowing what he wanted and sticking to business. Between takes, he was playing chess on Rio Bravo. Because Howard Hawks did long setups, and it was my first really big movie, so I was between takes either studying my lines or doing publicity or talking. He didn't sit around and talk much between takes. He went off to play chess or check his makeup or something. But by tough, I just mean he was his own man.
Could you tell me how you got the part in Rio Bravo?
Yes, I doubt that I Married a Woman had anything to do with it, but it would be nice to think that he remembered me. And I also had done a movie with James Arness for Batjack Productions, and so Duke would come out to the set once in a while, but I don't think I was good enough to have him recommend me for it. Howard Hawks liked picking a new woman. He told me that the reason he liked it was because the other ones were too difficult. And I can see what he would mean, because now if I were to get that same job, I would be more difficult because I'd have more bad habits that he couldn't get rid of. So he liked to take a novice and get that freshness that you just don't get from people other than Jack Nicholson or great actors or something, but that innocence and freshness, it doesn't come easily, and then he can get what he wants more than from an established star. And he had just come off, I think, a movie with Marilyn Monroe, and I think A Gentleman Prefer Blondes was his. If it wasn't, that was another one, and I guess he was ready for somebody who wasn't difficult at all. So in answer to your question, how did I get the part? So Hawks was going to find a new person again, and create a new star again, like he did with Betty Bacall in To Have and Have Not, and Joanne Drew in Red River. I think that was Joanne Drew. And his cutter on one of his movies was Chris Nyby, and Chris had become a director of television movies, and he had directed me in a couple of Perry Mason or something like that. So he said and we got along great. I just adored him. And he said, Howard, if you're going to pick a new girl again, take a look at a girl I've worked with, Angie Dickinson. That's how I'm told I got it.
How did Hawks tell you to play feathers? Did he give you some strict guidelines? And what did he tell you?
Well, I had to test for the part, first of all. And Capucine also tested. And if she hadn't had a heavy French accent, I think she would have got the part. She was much more the type that Howard was used to discovering. But he told me that he wanted originality, and yet you know that in his mind he wanted what he wanted. But if he told you too much what he wanted, it wouldn't be original. So it was very difficult, and he was patient. He would just wait all day long, and did, for something to come that wasn't concocted in my head, that came from something very, very physical and very visceral, I guess you would say, and yet that had what he wanted. It was very hard for me, being so new, and hard for Duke, too. Duke was used to, most of his lines were short, through most of his movies. It's get over there. And I told you to shut up. And when it came to scenes where he had, long conversation, there was one with Ward Bond in Rio Bravo, he had a difficult time too. Now, Duke had trouble because the scenes were, Howard wanted a certain rhythm or non-rhythm. I was so new and green and unskilled, so between the two of us, Hawks had quite a hard time getting our scenes. We had about 4 big scenes there, and they were long days.
I'm interested in, that the